Hi, this is Mr. West, Rossit's Most Stylish. Today I want to talk to you about the draft, the American system for conscripting soldiers in Vietnam. Now, these people behind us, you can see, are taking an oath of allegiance and have been drafted into the American army. But the draft was a kind of lottery that you didn't want to win. If your name came out of the hat, you were going to go for a one-year tour of duty to Vietnam. However, the system wasn't entirely fair. Firstly, if you were a university student or going to university, if you were wealthy enough to maybe be travelling abroad, or in some states, if you were getting married, you could avoid the draft. So this meant that the people who ended up fighting in Vietnam, these guys here, drafting in, ended up being perhaps the least educated people in America, often the poorest people in America. And often, because of the American system, they were people who were black. And they were going to America to fight for rights for the Vietnamese that they didn't enjoy at home. So that caused a bit of a problem and a bit of resentment. Now, obviously, the tour of duty was 1 year. So there's some tactical problems with that when you get out to Vietnam. First of all, when you first arrive in Vietnam, you're quite green, you don't really know what's going on, and you're hugely more likely to be killed in the first sort of, I think 47% of American soldiers who died in Vietnam, died in the first 3 months of the tour, okay? So that shows you that when you arrive in Vietnam, that's when you're at your most vulnerable. Obviously, over the year, you're building up your experience and you're becoming a better soldier in those jungle conditions. However, once the year's over, you return home. So all that experience goes with you, and there's a constant supply of fresh soldiers arriving in Vietnam with no combat experience. And after a year, you would leave, or if you got injured twice, you were sent home. So that situation. Now, you look at the Viet Cong, they've been fighting this war before the Americans even got there. Some of their soldiers have been fighting for 20 years. So they've got huge more greater levels of experience than the Americans have. Okay. Initially, the draft wasn't really a problem because only 3,000 soldiers were needed in February 1965 a month. However, by October, 33,000 soldiers were needed a month, and all of a sudden there wasn't enough number of volunteers. So then people were being drafted. Hugely controversial, hugely unfair, and didn't give the Americans the best chance of fighting in Vietnam.